Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. We are so excited to have you. My name is Kristen Galden, for those of you that don't know me. And if you've attended any of our webinars before, then you probably do. Oh, I got to switch this over. I think that I am not in the right mode here. Let me go make presenter. Here we go. Okay, I just want to show you a couple things that I'm going to walk through logistically before we get started here. I'm going to pass things off to Jennifer in just a moment, and she's going to take you through social emotional learning and talk about some ways that we can make sure that students are coming back to school in a very, uncertain time with confidence and things that you can do within your classroom. So before I do that, everybody is coming in on mute this morning, or this afternoon, I guess I should say morning. So that is not a function that you can change just due to, attendance size. So you will communicate with Jennifer or myself through the questions feature, which you can see is down here in your control panel. So I'm going to send a quick test to everybody just so that you can see where it pops up. Hello. So you should see something come up and you can reply to that. So if you have questions or comments throughout, please go ahead and put them there. We will do a live Q&A at the end, but if anything comes up, we'll go ahead and flag it throughout and we'll ask it at the end. And then also, if you're having any trouble, you can flip over with your audio to the phone. Once you hit phone, it will just give you a number to call, an access code, and a PIN. Otherwise, the computer audio is typically, pretty reliable. We also will be sending a couple of things as a follow-up. So you will get an email from me / the webinar platform with two things, the recording and the certificate. So in order to get both of these, you have to be attending this live. If you are watching this as a recorded version, you do not have a certificate. We don't offer those. So if you are attending live today, you will get to see the recording as well as get a certificate, and you can share that recording out. So I am going to go ahead and launch a poll and then pass things off to Jennifer here. Hey, Jennifer, in the chat, if you flip the to all, so it goes to the entire audience.
Oh, that would be smart.
So let me just select this poll here quick and then I'll pass it off. So just take a minute and tell me, we just included a few here, what your role is so that we have a better understanding of who we have in the audience. And
Kristen, I don't have access to make it to everyone.
Oh, interesting. Okay, here, I'm gonna make you the presenter and I'll see if I can flip it.
Okay.
Okay, so give you just another minute here and you should see the thing will pop up in just a moment. Okay, so we're looking at about 40% K2, 25% 3-5 teachers.
Okay.
Okay, do you see the presenter window?
No.
It says you are the presenter, so you might try to share your screen.
Can you see my screen now?
Okay, let's do this. No, let me try one thing here. There we go. Now we're in your thing. Let's now put it in the slideshow and we'll be good. We can see the deck.
Perfect. All right, let's get going. I am so excited that you guys are here. There's 44 of you, and I know there's going to be more that are jumping on, or you're going to be watching the recording later. So either way, I'm really excited that you guys are here. I am Jen Cooper-Wells. I'm the coordinator for social emotional learning and student development at Round Lake area schools in Round Lake, Illinois. So yeah, if you want to think of Chicago and go about 50 miles northwest, almost to the Wisconsin border, that's where we are. So let me get, oh, just kidding. Can you all, are you still looking at my screen?
We are, the title screen.
Okay, well, I'm looking at myself. So let me figure out
So you can hit your video, hit your video. We see the video at the top. You can hit your video button there and just hide it while you're presenting if it's easier.
Okay, well, I'm trying to, this is so different than Zoom, so I'm learning on the fly. I appreciate your patience. All right, let's go to the next one. So I want to give you a little bit about me. Who am I? What do I do?
We're still on the first screen.
You're still on the first screen?
So do you have is it playing?
No.
Okay, so just hit stop here, hit stop showing screen a minute and then hit play again and see if that fixes it. Okay, now we can see the next screen.
Oh, so weird. Okay, so let me close out of all of
You have to make sure you're clicked on the deck before you like hit your arrows, or it won't advance it, if that makes sense.
Yep. Okay. I was just trying to get rid of all of the stuff on the side, and it keeps. Okay. I apologize, but we're just gonna roll with this because I don't know where all these are coming from. Do you see the green slide?
If you hit the red arrow, the red arrow at the top on the gray bar, it should move your panel all the way over to the right so that you don't see the panel and all the extra stuff.
Yes. Okay. We're gonna hope this works. You guys are amazing. We're rolling with this. All right. So here's a little bit about me. I am really into self-care. And in terms of that, I do like the paint and sips, and I do the adult coloring books. When people say like, what is your job, Jen? Like a social emotional learning and student development coordinator, what do? I sum it up with high smiles and hugs. And which is really great until COVID hits, and then you're wearing masks and you can't touch people. So 2/3 of my job, I can't really do, but it's fine because COVID has blessed me with so many other opportunities. So I get to hang out with my son, who's going to be in 8th grade. He's almost as tall as me, and with his hair, he really is as tall as me. In the bottom corner is my brother. We get through life by making each other laugh. And so whenever we can get together, we try to take a serious picture. And this is about as serious as a picture as we can get. My dog makes sure that I get outside for the fresh air and all of that. I've been in education for 23 years. I started as a high school science teacher. I then became a high school counselor. I then went back to teaching science. I've been an instructional coach. I've been a department chair and a division chair at a high school. And now I'm currently working at the district office. So I oversee like 7,500 students and about 1,000 staff members. So this is where I just like thrive. I love faces. So I am pretending that you guys have your videos on and that you're smiling back at me because I can't see any of you. 2 is I like to make my presentations, my trainings as interactive as possible. So I love your ideas. Please participate in the activities as you feel comfortable. Again, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. And I love your kindness and support. And because of that, please be kind to others as we go through the training. So I'm going to put in the notes, maybe, hopefully, the link to the notes document. What I've created for you is a hyperdoc. So it will have everything that you need so that you can take notes. Let me see if I can. So Kristen, I'm gonna have to send it to you because I don't have access to send it to everybody.
Okay, if you put it in, that's okay. I can copy that and I can send it to all of them, I think. Yep, on it.
Perfect, thank you. So in this document, what I want you to look at is kind of how I have it set up. So I have the objectives at the front, at the top, and then going down the left-hand side, those are going to be like the main categories or topics I'm going to talk about. On the right-hand side, I have linked in strategies or tools, videos, websites, anything that I can think of that would just be like an extra thing for you. And what I want you to do is take notes. Like these are your notes. So whatever you think in terms of this is something I do and it's really good and I already do it, but I didn't know it was SEL linked, or I never even thought about that and you want to put that in there, these notes are yours. You keep them. All of the HyperDocs link to resources, again, it's for anybody. Please share out as much as you want, but those are the like main 4 things we're going to talk about. And then at the very end, just because I kept saying, oh, I want them to have this and this and this, I threw in a whole bunch of like different topics and websites that are like my go-tos when it comes to SEL. And then I also put in some of those inspirational videos. So if you're one of those people like I am, I spend my summers going and watching like random TED Talks. So there's TED Talks, there's the videos of teachers or principals who are just not your typical teacher or principal, and they're just so inspirational to me. So I didn't want to waste our time watching videos, so I put all of the links in there so that you have access to them when we get done. So the objectives for today, super simple ones. 1, gather specific SEL strategies to help you rock the beginning of the school year with students. 2, have fun reviewing and learning new strategies. I really want this day to be interactive. I want to learn from you. I will never say that I am an expert. I will just say I'm someone who's super passionate about routines, regulations, and building relationships with people. So because I am a super energetic person, I always like to start with a calm classroom. It's one of the programs that we use in my district. And so this first one is called triangle breathing. I have had a super long day of doing presentations for our principals and APs who have just come back from summer vacation. So to calm myself down, feel free to join me in this activity. If not, then I'll see you in about like a minute and a half. We are going to practice triangle breathing. This technique has 3 parts. You will breathe in through your nose as I count to 3. Then you will hold your breath as I count to 3. And finally, you will exhale as I count to 3. To help guide your breathing pattern, I will repeat the phrase, inhale, 1, 2, 3, hold, 1, 2, 3, and exhale, 1, 2, 3. So let's get started. We are going to practice triangle breathing. Sit up straight and comfortably in your chair. Rest your hands on your desk or in your lap. Close your eyes or leave them open. Feel your feet flat on the floor. Relax your shoulders back and down. Let your whole body be still. Feel the air moving in and out of your nose. Begin by exhaling the air gently out of your lungs. Now inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold, 1, 2, 3. Exhale, 1, 2, 3. Now breathe normally and relax. Feel the air moving in and out of your nose. Now take a deep breath in, hold, and exhale slowly. Notice how you feel. Slowly open your eyes. So how are you feeling? I know that I needed to do that, and I appreciate you humoring me and letting me do that. It's one thing that I have found helps me so that I can, if I've been running around and running from here to here to here to here, it actually is one of the first things that I do in all of my meetings, because I want to make sure that everyone is calm and that everyone is focused and everyone is ready to go. So I hope that was good. I hope you enjoyed it. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think, you don't need to put this anywhere, you don't need to write this down anywhere, but I want you to look at this mood meter. And I want you to go through and pick which color matches your current mood. And I want you to think of the mood meter. If you've never used a mood meter before, think of it as the x-axis is your pleasantness level. So if you're really, really sad, you're on like the red-blue side. If you're really, really happy, you're on the yellow-green side. And then think of the y-axis, so the vertical line, as your energy level. If you're really, really have lots of energy, then you're at the top where the red and yellow is. And if you're kind of like just dragging, you just got through the day, it's like almost time for lunch or dinner, depending on where you are, then maybe you're at the blue-green level. But where are you? Where is your current mood? So I'm going to tell you, like where I am right now, I'm like yellow-green. I'm like calm and happy and anxious and wiggly and worried and like nervous and all of that, just like a bundle. So like put me in like a yellow-green blend for right now. Here's what I want us to do. In your notes, I would love for you to click on where it says community circle and go to the Jamboard. And on this Jamboard, I'm going to click it so that you can see it. What I would like you to do is I would love for you to make a little note of what made you smile from this past week. So when you're going through and you're like, wait, what? Okay, if you've never used Jamboard, on the side, you have options. The easiest one that I would say is click on this one that says sticky note, and it immediately will pop up sticky note. And if I were to say, what made me smile this past week? I would say my son. I had him review, and I'm going to say triangle breathing. And I'm going to go save. And it pops right up here. What I want you to do is, and again, it's anonymous. Your name doesn't pop up anywhere, but fill this with what things made you smile. As you're doing that, I'm going to tell you a fun story. So I had my son review my presentation, and he goes, Mom, I'm concerned about your triangle breathing graphic. And I was like, why? He goes, what if because it doesn't say 3 seconds, what if somebody were to look at that graphic and say, breathe in 3, hold for 3, and breathe out for 3. He goes, if people are wearing masks, that could be hazardous to their health. And so we just were laughing uncontrollably because of that. So do you guys have access? Going into the chat. I'm not seeing any of, do you guys have access to the Jamboard?
I sent them the link to the Google, so if they have that on their side and it's linked in there, then they would. You're muted. Oh, that's odd. There, unmute. Perfect.
Oh.
Yeah, that was weird. You're okay now.
Okay. So on this Jamboard, I can see that a couple of you have jumped in. On the side, take a little sticky note and write down what's something that made you smile from this past week. and you can put it anywhere that you want. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to come back to it. So when you're in your notes, it should be right here where it says type your answer on this Jamboard. When you click on that blue word Jamboard, it should pop you in here. We have an anonymous beaver, dingo. We have an alligator. Okay, I'm going to keep going then. So let's talk about our current reality. Kristen, can you guys see my PowerPoint again?
We can see I'm still on the Jamboard.
Oh, then why?
Just reopen your PowerPoint. And yep, now we're there.
Okay, all right, I'm working on this. So current reality, let's talk about this. What is our current reality? Current reality is like 18 months that majority of students have not been in school, in the buildings. Like kids have been doing it from home. The amount of trauma that kids have faced, the amount of trauma that you guys have faced in regards to COVID is a lot. And it's a lot of intense emotions. There's physical, there's financial, there's health, there's emotional stress, all of that. And you just sit there and you're like, great, Jen, I thought this was supposed to be uplifting. Yeah, it is. Watch this. So when you talk about the adverse childhood experiences, so this is childhood trauma. I linked in at the end of the notes different parts, resources for you on ACEs. I don't want to focus on it too much, but I do want to let you know that more and more researchers are saying that while there used to be just 10 ACEs, they are now saying, go ahead and throw in COVID. If kids experience COVID, then it's going to impact their health. It's going to impact their mental stability. And so keep that in mind. So when you sit there and you're like, oh, I've heard of ACEs before, and I always wanted to know how many ACEs my students have. Just make the assumption everybody has at least one because everyone just experienced trauma with COVID. With that being said, I want you to breathe. Really and truthfully, breathe. And you're like, great, here we go, breathing. Yes, triangle breathing. Take a deep breath. Make sure you let it out though. Students need a safe, structured, and supportive environment in order to thrive. That's what they need. So again, these are things we can do. We can provide a safe, structured, and supportive environment. We know how to do school. It's what we went to schooling for. So today I want us to focus on 3 R's for returning to school: relationships, routines and expectations, and regulation of emotion. So as you're going through your notes, these are the main categories. I'm going to give you description and then strategies. Relationships matter. You know the teachers who impacted you the most. You can remember an elementary teacher who did fill in the blank. But think in terms of the students that you're walking into your classroom this next year. And make sure that every child has that one adult who's just irrationally crazy about him or her. Like, let's think about that. So, you know how you're not supposed to have favorites? But let's be real. You have a couple of kids, you have a couple of students who you just bonded with, you just clicked with, and you have no idea why. I can tell you why. It had to do with relationships, greeting them at the door, asking them what they did over the weekend, having quick conversations, those quick get to know yous. If you have never heard of Rita Pearson, and you have never heard her TED Talk of every child needs a champion, it's linked into your notes as well. 7 minutes and 35 seconds of, oh my goodness, you will laugh, you will cry. She is just so great at making sure that you know that kids don't learn from people they don't like. Because let's be real. If you're following admin, it's because you believe in the vision and the direction that the administration's going. You feel supported by that administrator, right? True, right? Same thing for kids. Kids are going to follow you in the classroom. They are going to sit there and be like, yeah, what's the next activity? What are we doing today? They're going to be excited to come to your class because they know that it is safe, that it is structured, and that it is a supportive environment where they can take risks and thrive. So how do we do this? So here's things to think about. So one, in my district, we do community circles. And this next year, kids are going to do community circles on a regular basis. Before it was optional, but now we're like, relationships, especially after a global pandemic, need to happen. It could be as simple as a would you rather question. Would you rather go to the movies or play video games? You're going to find out a lot about a kid by which way they choose. Now, if you're sit there and you're like, well, how do you, I already do this. Yeah, I know. I'm simply telling you, you're amazing. Keep doing what you do, but this year, do more. Do more. If you would normally give the kids an all about you sheet, and again, if there's high school people on here, middle school people, you can literally go on Google, type in get to know you activities, and then put your grade level in after it. So get to know you activities, preschool. Get to know you activities, elementary, middle school, high school. The amount of resources that are online, I couldn't even begin to put them all on here. So I just put a couple of ones that I love to do at the high school level. One was the bioglyph. Literally, it was asking students to create a picture of a face, but each characteristic had a specific question that it tied to. So the number of hairs on the head had to do with what day of the month you were born. And if it was straight, or if it was curly, or if it was wavy, it had to do with what season you were born in. The nose, was it pointing up? Was it a circle? Was it pointing down? That then was tied with like what your favorite subject was. So again, then we hung them up around the room. So I've got all these random faces around the room, but because I knew what the characteristics meant, I could real quickly, not necessarily know which student, but I could real quickly incorporate those favorite subjects or those favorite sports or clubs and activities into my lesson because I knew students in my room had that as one of their special interests. Get to know you bingo was another one of my favorites because I would sit there and I would ask the kids, okay, what do you want to know? They're like, what? I was like, give me a characteristic. They're like, shoe size. Great, put it on there. Shoe size. Now go around. You've got shoe size. You've got favorite color. You've got how many pets do you have at home? How many siblings do you have? Who lives in your house? Those types of things. Then I would give them literally 15, 20 minutes. I said, go play bingo. Who can you find around the room that has the exact same information as you, and have them write their name on your bingo sheet and you write your name on theirs. Again, quick, easy, get to know yous. So now when you think about trauma, one of the things that you want to be focused on is how to provide structure and predictability. The easiest thing to do is routines. So when you think about someone who has faced trauma, you think about anybody who's coming out of COVID. When I asked my son, what are you excited about going back to school? He's one of those, he hasn't been in a school building for 18 months. He goes, I'm kind of excited to have a real schedule again. He goes, don't get me wrong, I liked going to school in my sweats and pajamas every day. He goes, but I want a normal schedule. When the students know what the structure is, when they know what is expected of them, and when they know what's going to come next, it's going to help to reduce their anxiety. It's going to bring down those intense emotions so that they can be like, you know what, I can do this, instead of throwing up their hands and flying or freezing. So here's some suggestions, some strategies. At the elementary level, you guys already do this. Your visual schedule, you don't understand how important those visual schedules are, having the pictures as well as the words. One, it's helping the students to learn vocabulary, but two, it's helping your students who might not have strong vocabulary or reading skills, that they have the pictures that can go with it. Also, if you have students who are language learners, they know what the pictures are, so that they can then be like, oh, math class, we do numbers. Okay, that makes sense. When you get to middle school and high school, you could have, and maybe even at 4th and 5th grade, you have like your board organized so that when the kids come in, they know what the agenda is. They know what the objectives are. They know what the schedule is going to be for the day. They know what the starter question is, the bell ringer. If there's homework, they know what it is. Everything is in the same place. Now, if your school is still doing remote, or if your school transition to everything being online, whether you're using Canvas or Schoology, walk your students through, here's the routine, here's how we log on to Canvas, here's how we log on to Schoology. You want to make these routines, which you already do, concrete, concise, and clear. You want them to know what is happening because you want to reduce that anxiety. Now, one of the graphic organizers from a executive functioning workshop that I went to just in the spring was one that was this get ready, do, done. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is ingenious at every level to help organize students of, you start with 1, done. And it's kind of like that backwards planning that you do when you're planning lessons. Where do you want the kids to be at the end of the unit? Okay, what do you need to do to get there? And then what materials do you need to get ready so that you can do those activities? So we are going to start implementing this just as a quick resource to help the kids organize themselves. Again, a lot of kids struggle with, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, well, let's start with, where do we want to end? And then let's work our way back, put them into small chunks that are tangible to help the students. Now, we sit there and we're like, okay, we've got our relationships, we've got our routines, and everything is exciting and you're ready to go. Okay, but let's be real. How do you want the kids to behave? Keep in mind, these students, for the most part, have not physically been in a school building for 18 months. So what are you going to do? So I give you this real quick synopsis. So when I started teaching in the 90s, I taught Chicago public schools, again, high school. Yes, gangs everywhere, fights every day, all of that. My classroom was down the hall from the cafeteria and there was no other classrooms there. And so the intent was, when that bell rang for the students to leave the cafeteria, they would sprint because our building was huge. So I remember, not the smartest thing, but I remember doing this, yelling down the hallway, stop running. And they're like, okay. So they stopped running and then they started skipping. I was like, stop skipping. And so then they continued and then they started dancing. And I was like, wait, what are you doing? Aren't you listening? And the student said, yes. I stopped running when you told me to stop running. I stopped skipping when you said stop skipping. I stopped dancing. Lady, what do you want from me? And I was like, I want you to walk with a purpose. This guy who was probably like 6'2", probably 220, looked at me and just said, then why didn't you say that at the beginning? That would have saved everybody a lot of time. And I'm going, you're right. So here's what I'm challenging you with. When you start talking about behavior, I want you to tell them what you expect to see when they are doing X, Y, and Z. I want you to be clear, concise, concrete, because I want you to remember that all behavior is a form of communication. It's a need that is unmet. So if we're sitting here and we're looking at this, here's some strategies that you can think of. How do you communicate to the students how loud they should talk? Do you tell them? Do you have this like voice level chart anywhere in your room? I highly recommend it. One, it's a great visual and it's very clear, it's very concrete, it's very concise. And then you can simply tell the students, hey, run a level 1 for this activity. And the kids can look up and be like, oh, that's a whisper. And you're good to go. They know that when they go out on the playground, they can use a 3 or a 4, but you're probably not going to use a 4 when you're inside. Again, you have to train them up on it. Then when you're talking about the different activities within your classroom, think of the word CHAMPS. And that's just a quick acronym for conversation. What level of voice do you want them to use? H is for help. How can they get help? Can they ask a friend? Can they ask a teacher? Do they need to use resources? A is for activity. What type of activity are they doing? Is it whole group instruction? Is it small group? Is it independent? Movement. Can they sharpen their pencil during this time? Can they go to the bathroom? Can they get up? Can they walk around your room? Or do they need to remain in their seat? And then 5 for P is participation. What does this look like? What does it look like when a student is doing the conversation, to help the activity, and the movement? And all of those put together will lead to success. So then again, you would have this type of chart posted in your room so that the students know, or you have it on your web page, but you have it accessible to students. So just think about how you are communicating. Again, a fault of mine when I was at the high school level is I just was like, oh my gosh, you guys are in 9th grade. You know how to act. You've been in school since kindergarten. So I don't need to tell you how to do this. My suggestion, pretend the kids don't, and just be super clear, concise, and consistent on what you want them to do. They're going to come up to the bar that you set, but they have to know what the bar is. Another thing I want you to think about is at the beginning of the year, when you are meeting with students and you're coming up with like your classroom rules and you're coming up with your norms, I want to challenge you to think of it in a different light. I want you to think of it as a treatment agreement. And if you want, Google it, look it up. There's so many different versions out there, but it really is broken into 3 things: student to student, student to teacher, and teacher to student. And always think to yourself, how do I want the students to treat each other? How do I want the students to treat me as the adult? And how do the students want to be treated by the adult? This is a collaborative activity that I would say break it up like 10 minutes over 4 days. Let the students come up with what are the expectations of how we're going to treat each other. And then again, once you get those categories all done, everybody signs it because this is what we're agreeing to. It's kind of like a behavior contract, so to speak, that they've created. And then hang it up in your room, because this then is your quick redirect when behavior isn't what it needs to be. You're just like, hey, do me a favor, read the treatment agreement that we all agreed to and fix it. All right, regulation of emotion. This is one that I did not realize was as important as it was in my life until COVID hit. So I have always been one who's been like, oh yeah, I do adult coloring books. I have calming music in the background. I love going to the ocean and just hearing the waves crash. But Tara Brach just put it so simply for me. So to me, bringing mindfulness practices to students, teachers, and parents is some of the most important work we can be doing. If we can help the next generation become more self-aware, empathetic, emotionally resilient, they will bring their wisdom to healing the earth and creating a more peaceful world. And I was like, wow, right? Like, how important is that? Regulation of emotions. So I want you to think of adults, your friends, your family members, maybe even. You have that one person who just blows off the handle, flies off the handle on like the smallest things, and immediately starts screaming, yelling, whatever. And then you've got another family member who's just like, oh, do you know that we could probably, like, let's talk this out. Think about the most successful people are people who should be able to regulate their emotions. That is a strategy that we need to teach our students because they're going to need that when they get into the workplace, because work is going to be stressful. Hopefully they find a job and a career that aligns with their passion and their interests so that they can go to work and smile all day long, like I do. But if you can't regulate your emotions, you might not be able to hold your job as often. You might get fired because you can't control your emotions. So we got to help our students. So here's some strategies. One, zones of regulation and mood meters. So those are the two that we use in my district. And we have posters that we hang in all of our classrooms. They're in our libraries. They're in our principals' offices, our dean's offices, like everywhere we have these posted. The reason being is when kids are in the red and they have like lots of energy, but their pleasantness level is really, really low in terms of it's really towards that red-blue side, then we want to make sure that one, we can help the students identify where they are. We like having them laminated and posted so that the kids can literally point to it. So at the elementary level, we do the zones of regulation. We went and we put emojis because, again, at preschool, our kids do this. They come in and they every day point to which face matches where they are. And then they also have these in their different centers so that if they're working with, if they're playing with other kids, it might be that they're not sharing well. And so when the teacher comes over and it's like, well, what is happening? They point to the different colors of where they are because something has happened. As you get more through the grade levels, then we're thinking of the mood meter and the students having more vocabulary to choose from in terms of being able to identify their emotions. Zen zones. So when I go back to stop sharing my screen, behind me, I have a sticker wall. And it literally is a paint by number, but it's with stickers. And I used to have a coloring wall. At the secondary level, those seem to be something that the kids can literally just get up, and if they need a quick minute and a half, 2 minutes to just refocus themselves, they walk over, they color a couple of things, and then they can transition back to their seat and be successful because they're focused. One of the things that I am super passionate about is brain breaks. So I do dance parties. I do movement breaks where we get up, we stretch and all of that, which again, with only 45 minutes, that's usually the time that I would be like, okay, let's get up, let's stretch, let's do a dance party. Again, 30 seconds of music gets the brain going, gets the muscles going, oxygen flowing. And then when you sit back down, you take a couple of deep breaths and you're focused and you're ready to go again. I highly recommend that you build in those brain breaks, that you build in the movement breaks, that you build in dance parties, that you build in, hey, we're just gonna do a quick game of I Spy, or we're gonna say, you know, point to something that's blue if you're learning your colors for that day. Whatever you can do to help put a break in their learning. And then we use Calm Classroom in my district. It is just simply a mindfulness program that has activities that go preschool all the way through 12th grade. And we use it at least once a day for all of our students because we have found that the students are requesting it. We had elementary, like I had this cute little kindergartner who would describe his body as totally out of control and it was going everywhere. And then he did a butterfly breathing with Calm Classroom and he goes, and then Miss Lady, my body was calm and I was able to focus and I was ready to learn. Hi, if we could train a 6-year-old to be able to articulate that, think of what we would be able to do with upper elementary, middle school, high school kids who instead of throwing a table across the room can sit there and say, you know what, I'm not in a good place. I'm going to get up, I'm going to walk. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths and then I'm going to come sit back down or maybe have a conversation. Again, stop, think, act. Simple things. And I know people on this screen, there's 54 of you. I know that you already do some of these things. I'm just giving you a couple of extra ones, but make sure that you are being deliberate about building in those breaks, about making sure that you're reading your room. If the students seem like they are really sluggish in the morning, then maybe do a dance party first thing. If they're coming back from lunch and they are jacked on processed foods and recess and all of that fresh air and they need some calming down so that they can focus for the afternoon, then maybe do a mindfulness where they just listen to water moving, find nature videos, and do it for literally a minute, maybe 2. None of these strategies should take much longer than that. So let's wrap this up. Students need a safe, structured, and supportive environment in order to thrive and be successful. And that's what we want our students to be, right? So what can you do? I want you to have fun. I want you to be super excited to be back in the buildings with your students. I want you to focus on building those relationships, establishing routines, regulating emotions. I want you to watch this quick 3-minute video. So hopefully I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to go here. Crystal, can you see, or Kristen, can you see my my Google Drive?
Yes, I see why I teach.
Okay, then if I go full screen, did your screen go black?
No.
Okay.
Now we see it. Oh,
that is so weird.
It was just there. There we go.
You good now? Okay, but I can't see it. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so I'm going to play this video and hopefully it works, but it's 3 minutes and 37 seconds. If you need a Kleenex box, you might want to grab it. If not, plan to smile a lot.
And now we're going to move on and we're going to have a one-on-one from our secondary teacher of the year, Mr. Ricky Ramirez.
Why I teach. I'm going to take you guys on my journey as to why I teach, why I continue to do what I do to this day. So why I teach? I teach because sometimes you get to know your students. And when you build a relationship with them, you understand and you realize that their parents can't go to every single game. So you take it upon yourself to go to as many games as you can because that look on their face means the world to you. Why I teach? I teach because sometimes you realize that the only way to reach a kid is through athletics. So you start coaching 2 sports. Why I teach because sometimes you meet little girls who tell you, my mom's not going to the last game where I'm supposed to honor her with the rose. Can I honor you with the rose? That became the highlight of my career and the low point of my career. Why I teach because sometimes kids will see you as a father figure, and they will see you as a mother figure. And they go on social media and they thank you on Father's Day, saying you're the closest thing to a father that I have ever had. Why I teach because sometimes you give kids an opportunity to get back to the community, and you offer them a chance to volunteer at the homeless shelter on Thanksgiving break, and they'll volunteer 4 hours of their Thanksgiving day to give back. Why I teach because sometimes when you learn about your kids, they tell you that their fathers are not in their lives, and they invite you to the quinceañeras, And you have to show up to put a smile on that little girl's face because you remember how sad your sister was when your dad was in her kingdom. Why I teach because sometimes you're going to push your kids to high levels of academics and behavior and rigorous coursework. And you need to throw them a banquet, not one that the school provides, but one that you provide on your own dime because they deserve it. Why I teach because sometimes you guys are going to meet kids who tell you, I don't need a college degree to become a teacher. I don't need a college degree to become a gamer. I don't need a college degree to become an entrepreneur these days. And then you take that same little girl on the field trip you coordinated to UTEP, and you spark the mind of that same little girl, and she now goes home to her parents, and she says, Dad, I do want to go to college. Not any college, I want to go to Harvard to become a lawyer. And her dad thanks you by sending her to school with a beautifully handcrafted wooden American flag with USMC emblem on it, and she paid attention when we told her you're a former Marine, and this is their way of saying thank you. Why I teach because in education, your job is not secure. Sometimes you're going to have to move to a new school for whatever reason. And your first year teaching, the students that you meet, when they graduate, they'll go find you at your new school. And they say, Mr. R, this is what I look like with the cap and the gown. This is what your hard work looks like. Thank you. I did it because of you. Thank you. Why I teach because sometimes you remember as an adult, you got to make fun of because you don't know how to tie a tie. And you want to make sure that your kids never have to experience that shame and embarrassment. So you take it upon yourself to teach your students how to tie a tie every single year. Why I teach because sometimes you realize that a first impression is the only chance you're going to get. So you make sure that your kids can shake hands with firm grip, good eye contact, squared shoulders, and they can speak confidently. Why I teach because sometimes you just have to lift your students up. Even on your worst day, you can be a kid's best hope, especially the short ones. Ladies and gentlemen, I teach because of caring educators like yourselves who never gave up on me, who didn't hold my upbringing against me. I challenge you guys to go to work, not for a paycheck. Show up to make a difference. Ladies, that is why I teach. Be the change.
All right, so now let me see if I can get back. Here we go. All right, so here's what I want you to do. On your notes, can you guys see my screen where it has the community circle?
Let me make sure. I don't think so. I think we just say you.
Oh. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. I think I'm understanding the buttons now that we're like almost done. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to the Jamboard. I realize that the Jamboard was view only. So hold please so that I can actually change it so you can type on it because that's rude of me. But I want you to do, I want you based off of, so Ricky was at he was one of the keynote speakers at a conference that I went to this summer. But what I want to know is what motivates you to do what you do? Again, are you a teacher? Are you admin? Are you a mom? Are you a dad? Are you an aunt, an uncle? Like, what do you do and yeah, just what motivates you? So let me go to this Jamboard and let me make sure that I have it as share and change. Huh, look at that. How about this, people? Now try it. So again, over here on the side is the sticky note. If you might have to refresh your screen. Click on the sticky note, type in, why do you do, answering the question, why do you do what you do? For me, it's high smiles and hugs. Yes, math can be amazing. I always liked math and science, thus became a science teacher. Yes.
Remember, this is coming from your notes section. The first Google document that you clicked, the Jamboard is in there. Perfect. They got it now.
Yep. Yeah, seeing their smiling faces. I can't tell you how excited I have been to have the admin back this summer. We had so many, like I wasn't allowed to go into buildings for this whole last year. It was devastating for me. Yes, build their confidence, give them a chance that they never had. Oh, you guys are gonna make me tear up. Yes, once you get them, move them out of the way so that we can make sure, yes, look at this. Yeah, isn't it great when their light bulb just goes off and you're there to experience it and be like, yes, that's why I do what I do. Because it's not for the money. It's not for the summers off, because summer is just to get you recharged because you're exhausted from everything you've done during the school year. Oh, the kids laughing. I can hardly wait to go into my kindergarten rooms. Yes, our kids need to know they're loved so much. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. And maybe. Can you see my presentation now, people? Maybe?
Yes, just not in like slideshow mode. So we see the slides on the left too.
Oh, all right.
It's all right. It's a learning curve.
Right? Goodness. Well, and I can't see myself. And I have a friend who's on here and she sent me, she's like, yeah, I see your face. I'm like, I'm so glad you guys can see my face because I miss seeing your faces. So here we go. So 6 things. How do you build those positive relationships? Get to know them. And I don't care. The craziest things they're going to remember. Be honest, be truthful, be transparent, be authentic. Just be you. Make sure that you set high expectations. And you guys talked about this on the Jamboard. Your kids will go to the bar that you set. Set that bar really high because they're going to be taking care of us when we are in the old folks' home. People, set that bar high. Be empathetic and teach them empathy. What does it mean to be a good friend? That starts so early. Be positive, be energetic, be passionate. I don't know, but if you love what you're doing, the kids are going to love it just because they love your energy. They may not be excited about the topic, but they're going to come to your class because they know that you're going to make it fun. And whenever we can trick them into learning, it's the best way to go. And then build trust. Make sure that you are showing them how you are taking risks. Make sure that you are showing them when you make mistakes that you're human, and that even if you have like the mood meter or the zones of regulation poster, if you have that somewhere, feel free to demonstrate to them how you are. Be vulnerable. You don't have to share your whole life, but let them know that you're a real person. So thank you. You guys have been amazing. Here's my contact information. Again, I'm a coordinator of SEL and student development, but really I'm just passionate about making sure that people have relationships, routines, and regulating of emotions in their world. So yeah, so there's my contact information. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And then can we see now, right? You're just seeing me?
No, we just see you.
Perfect.
It's perfect. I don't know if we have any, that was great. Super good information. You know, thanks for taking them through everything and the great tips and enthusiasm about, you know, taking care of the kiddos. And again, the Google Doc, if you didn't see that, that link is in the chat. So within that document is all of the information that has been referenced today, but then also all of the links. I have seen that TED Talk. It is exceptional. So if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend watching it. And again, as a reminder, this is the launch of our fall series. So we will do a webinar every, the first Wednesday of every month through November, and then we'll do a mini webinar the last week of the month for that's very manipulative focus. So if you have an opportunity to come, I encourage you to sign up. You'll get a certificate if you attend any of those live. And Jen will be doing a blog for us in the next couple weeks. So be on the lookout for that as well. So Jennifer, I just want to say thank you very much. And
this was fun. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're wishing all of you a great start to the school year. I have no doubt everybody will knock them dead. So good luck, and everybody have a good rest of the day.
Bye. Thanks for coming.